Right. So, welcome to our exclusive quantum training. Tonight, we're going to have two special guests, my brother Brandon Boyd and Josh Lee. And these are two educators that have spent years of, practice and training, just doing so much to be able to put this together for us so that we can become profitable traders. The first one I'm going to bring up is Brandon Boyd. As you guys know, Brandon is one of our mentors, is one of our brothers, and he's been alongside this journey with us for years now. But now the beauty of it is that we get a chance to have him as a direct upline that we get a chance to work with. And this is somebody that has been in the industry of network marketing for over 20 plus years. All right, this individual is a father, he's a husband, he has 7 kids, and he still finds a way to educate, to trade, to build a business, to travel the world and do some amazing, amazing things. And as you guys know, we were in a prior platform, and Brandon Boyd went above and beyond for us then. And trust me, he's going even more above and beyond for us now. So I'm just so excited to see what it was that him and Josh Lee came to together, because I don't know if you guys know this, but in our old platform, the platform that we were a part of, their scanner was the number one scanner, and they were the number one educators for I forgot how many weeks. We're talking about over many, many weeks that they were the number one educators. Now we get a chance to have them exclusively on tonight's call. So I'm super excited to be able to introduce my brother, our mentor, Mr. Brandon Boyd. Guys, put some fire emojis in the chat box. Get your pens and papers ready. Turn your cameras on, and let's give it up for our brother, Mr. Brandon Boyd. Take it away, man. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing for the team, and we're excited to learn, bro.
Absolutely. Well, and by the way, this time, if you have any, I'm going to actually watch the chat. If anyone either can't hear me, the screen's frozen, I'm going to be calling up my company and saying, "Hey, man, let's get this right here." But
Looks
guys,
good now.
definitely excited to be on here tonight. Look, Quantum's blowing up. We're literally in week 2 of actually having Quantum live. The testimonials that we've been getting have been absolutely phenomenal. Like some people said, "Hey, I love the last, scanner that you guys had, but this is like next level." If I were to give you guys some of the testimonials, even just from the last couple of days, it's pretty insane. But I can't give all the details simply because of all the income claims, trading claims, and all that. So I'm very careful with those kind of things. But you will see that the Quantum Masters Club flyers will continue to grow. You realize we've had over 50,000 Masters Club flyers. I was actually looking back at records that we have, 50,000. Now, Neno was almost right. He said for weeks, but it was actually 36 months, 3 years. We are either ranked number one on the homepage or on the homepage for 3 consecutive years. I don't know if you guys understand how hard that is to do. It's one thing to win for a month, it's another thing to win for a couple months, 6 months. But when you do it year after year, it's very difficult. It takes a lot of consistency, a lot of dedication, a lot of focus, and so forth. And so we're grateful now that we are partnered with this team, with Jifu, in being able to really take things to another level. I feel a renewed life and energy within me to kind of take things to a level that I know for myself, even personally, that I've never done before. I believe that quantum is a part of that process. Now, you guys can find us on gfulive.com. If you go to GFU Live, you click on Forex, you'll actually see us on our channel there, Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every day. All the sessions are recorded. We just got our quantum boot camp in 6 languages. So we got French done today. We're working on German as well. So it'll be language number 7. You'll see them on our channel under, it has courses. So it has the 1 day boot camp for quantum. So if you want to know how to use it besides tonight, you'll see that under the courses tab. If you want to get the actual PDF for your language, you'll see that under the files tab. Okay. So you go to our channel, all the stuff is there, all the recordings are there, and then you're going to be able to see us live as well. But we want to not waste any time. We want to get straight into the training because, look, time is the most valuable asset that you have in your life. I actually say time is the currency of the earth. You can't get it back. And let me tell you something. I got another daughter graduating high school. Her ceremony's in 2 days. That's 3 of my kids graduated. Then another one next year. 4 children over 4 years graduating high school. Plus, I got the kids in elementary school. Plus, got another child on the way. Number 7. 7 is the sign of perfection, right? It's completion. If I can do this, you guys can do this. You're not as busy as maybe you think. Sometimes our priorities are a little bit out of whack. We're chasing things that take time from us rather than actually make time and get our time back, right? What we're going to be talking about tonight is to help you guys get your time back, help you guys put your money to work for you instead of you just working for money. It's okay to work for money, but you want to get the money working for you. And that's part of the process of trading. It's the best thing that we've ever done in our lives. I absolutely love trading. I love entrepreneurship. We want to show this to you guys tonight, showcase it to you so that hopefully, look, that light goes on in the head of, oh my gosh, this thing is even better than I thought. The more you use it, the more you will like it. So I'm going to turn the time over to my good friend. He's the man that I trade with each and every day. I've known him for over 20 years. We met back in college and he became a doctor. I presented trading to him. Imagine if I didn't reach out to Dr. Lee. It's like, I don't know. I mean, he is a doctor. He is a doctor. He's got credit. So now that's on what you call your chicken list. Like I'm too chicken to reach out to that person. What if I say, well, he's a doctor. He's already making good money. He's in the top 1%. So he's probably not going to be interested. Well, not only would my situation not be the same, his situation would not be the same. He's able to get his time back. So rather than just serving some people, he can serve people all over the world, right? Not just making a difference with medicine, but also making a difference financially in other people's lives. So I reached out to him, got him the information. He got started. He started trading. We started trading together. This is years ago. And man, am I glad that I was not afraid and got him off my chicken list and just said, you need to check this out. So here we are together. He and I trade together each day. We teach together each day as well. Guys, I want you to put some fire emojis inside the box for Dr. Josh Lee.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Brandon. Just want to do a quick check and you all hear me just fine.
Yep, all good.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, both Nino and Brandon, for having me on. It's always a pleasure. We love doing these team calls because this is an opportunity where we get a chance to be kind of get a little bit more intimate in our discussion about the services that we provide, the trading style that we use, the quantum scanner specifically in this context, and it gives us an opportunity to kind of, in a sense, share our personal feelings about what it can provide to you, how it can simplify the trading process, and ultimately how you can take your trading to a new level. And that doesn't mean that we're making income claims or things like that, because here's the reality: no matter how much money we've made, no matter how much money anyone else has made, this comes down to your personal journey. You see, when you take on trading, another person could have made all the money in the world, but you still got to do it for yourself. And that's why we always teach our program and we call it Master the Skill, because we want you to be able to acquire this skill set, but for it to be as simple as possible. If you've got to be a doctor of trading, which I'm not, nobody, most other people, they're not either, but if you had to have that elite level of education, right? I have a doctorate degree. I've spent a lot of my life in school, in training, etc. And so if you had to have that level of education in order to be a good trader, then mostly these kind of calls would be a waste of everyone's time, because most people just aren't going to put in the time. They're not going to go the distance to really make it happen. But the good news is you don't have to have, and it says that elite level of education in order to get good at trading. But what you do need is elite level tools. Okay, think about that again. You need elite level tools. And that's what the quantum scanner is all about. Because with these tools, it helps you to do a lot of the things that you couldn't do on your own. You see, you can get on a bicycle and you can pedal and so forth, or you could even walk down the street by your own physical power, but you couldn't get a car to move down the road. So you're relying on the engine and all the thousands of parts that make up a vehicle in order to go down the road. Trading is very similar to that. You could look at the chart, you could literally flip a coin, you could say, I don't know, price can go up or down today. And you could kind of try to go at your own power, but most people don't find that very effective because it comes down to just sheer chance at that point. But with the proper tools within the quantum scanner, our previous scanner, it analyzed a lot of different things in the chart, but it doesn't even come close to what we have developed within the quantum scanner. This analyzes literally hundreds of points of data in the markets to give you key elements, not only of price direction, but also price phase, meaning are we in an upward phase, downward phase? Is price consolidating? Is it trending, et cetera? So it analyzes all of that for you, automatically identifies market structure, so support and resistance, which many of you have probably heard about. And then in addition to that, this tool gives you actual locations for potential trade entry locations, and trade entry reasons, which are a critical and difficult part of the trading process. But this helps to remove a lot of that guesswork. And I'm going to show you some specific examples tonight on how it actually does that and how you can begin to apply it into your own trading during the times when it's really best to trade. And so without further ado, I'll get right into a discussion today to introduce the quantum scanner, talk about some of its key features, etc. One thing I do want to note just real quick before we really jump into this is my own personal background. For those who may not know me, or maybe Brandon, is we've now been trading for about 10 years. And that's a long time. In most professions, they say it takes about 10 years to truly master something because it takes a lot of hours in order to truly get something down. And we have definitely been able to spend that time to acquire this skill set to trade both personally as well as in teaching people, developing proprietary scanners like Quantum in order to make this possible and available to you exclusively through GFU. You cannot access this through TradingView or any other platform. This is only available through the GFU platform. So with that, let's get right into this. I'll go ahead and share my screen. I want to share a few things firstly with you about the quantum scanner, and then we'll get actually onto the chart to talk about how do you actually use it. Right? We want to get into those kind of nitty-gritty details. So first things first, we created this PDF guide, which is available on our channel. You can refer to this at any time by going to our channel, go under files. We actually have this now, I think, in 6 languages, which is phenomenal. We appreciate everybody who's helped us along that way. So if you do have teams who are speaking Polish, French, Spanish, Italian, German is on the way. It's very close to being completed. Arabic we now have as well. You can access this PDF guide and study it on your own time, on your own terms, and in many languages. And eventually we're going to have it in about at least 16 languages. So stay tuned. We'll get that done. But let's talk about what is the quantum scanner. You see, a scanner in general is something that analyzes the market. Think of it in those kind of simplistic terms. And so what we've done is we've combined a suite of proprietary and automated tools that analyze the price and determine a number of different things. Number one, price direction. If you can't determine the correct direction of price right now, then in a way, it doesn't matter what other strategies, tools that you might use, the price isn't going to go in the right direction of your trade, right? If you expect price to go up, you need to know that the price direction is probable or likely to go in the upward direction. If it's going to go down, you need to know that it's likely going to head in that direction. But how do you know? Well, the quantum tool helps to do that very thing. It also analyzes aspects of price action. Price action is just a simple term that refers to price responding to itself in the past. So maybe price has pivoted at a given price level. And so how do you know what that level is going to be or where it might respond? And so we developed specific tools that help to automatically identify those diagonal structures, trend lines, et cetera, so that you don't have to do that. And then the final thing is price phase. In other words, are we in an upward phase, a downward phase? Within quantum, we call this a red phase or a blue phase. So to keep things super simple, we don't want this to feel like complex math or other things like that. And so we've simplified this down to a simple coloring system to where if you're looking for blue indications, you're looking for buys. In other words, you're expecting price to go up. So type in the chat blue and then the word buys. Okay, because all of the blue indications are leading you to place a buy or an expectation that price is going to go up. So type in blue buy in the chat, and and that's what that means. Now for sells, we're looking for the red indication. So red sell. So type in red sell. That's going to be the color coded connection between the direction we expect price to go in or downward and that color. So red for sells, blue for buy. So let's get into the details. For the quantum scanner, you can access it at gfulive.com/scanner. All right, so you can log into GFU Live and you can access it through the scanner tab, which is on the left side of the screen. When you come into the quantum scanner, you're going to notice a number of different tools. And at first, it may actually feel like there's a whole lot going on. But once you understand what each of these tools provide, it actually becomes quite simple and your eyes can begin to orient yourself in space to where, similar to when you get in your car, you might see your speedometer, your odometer, your RPM meter, your gas gauge. There's a lot going on, but it's really not that hard. Once you get familiar with it, you're like, well, no, I know exactly where to look. If I want to know how much fuel is in my car, you kind of get familiar with it in that way. So when we're looking at an uptrend, again, blue for buys, we're looking for the blue indications. So there's a couple of key tools that we look at first. The first is the macro phase arrow. So right here, kind of on the left side of the chart with this big blue triangle that indicates that we're now in a blue phase. From that point moving forward, each of the candlesticks will actually be colored blue. Now, normally, if you have an upward moving candle, it might be blue or green, our common colors of choice for a bullish candle. A red candle typically indicates a bearish candle. But we've changed this within the quantum scanner to where any candlestick that exists within an upward phase is going to be blue. And this helps to train our eyes to focus on the upward direction to look for buys during that phase. So if we're in a blue phase, that means immediately in my brain, I'm thinking I'm looking for buys. Next is we look at our primary trend line. So that's this big blue glowing line that we call our primary trend line. And when that line is blue, again, that further confirms that price is above its average and that it's likely going to continue to go in the upward direction. Doesn't mean it can't reverse at different times, but it at least gives us a directional indication that's easy to see, easy to understand, and easy to follow. Okay. So next, we want to look up at the master strength panel. So this little panel in the upper right-hand corner of our chart is called the master strength panel. Why is it called that? Because it's measuring in a proprietary and unique way that's different from any like currency strength meter or anything like that that you normally might be able to access online, etc. This is actually a very unique and proprietary system that can analyze the strength of a trend or price literally on every second of every day on any asset and any time frame. Okay, there's something significant in that for those who are new, you may not realize how big of a deal that is, because historically, when you look up like currency strength meters and you're trying to gauge what's the relative strength of a trend, notice in that term or in that title, it's referred to as the currency strength meter. That means it only applies to foreign currencies. Well, what about crypto? What about indices? What about stocks? What about other assets that you may want to trade, but that aren't foreign currency or Forex? Now you can actually assess the exact strength of the trend or of price movement, no matter what asset that you want to trade, no matter what time frame you want to trade. So whether you're trading on the 1 minute or the 1 month or anything in between, this will now assess every single time frame that is listed in that panel, which includes the M1 all the way through the weekly time frame chart. We could have included the monthly, but honestly, it's not that useful for most people, so we didn't include that. And then we have this strength score. And I'll explain to you here in a moment what the scoring system is and how we assess it. But in simple terms, if that blue box around the score itself is blue, that means that the overall strength is in the upward direction. Again, blue for buys, we want to look for that upward strength. If it's in a downward trend, we want to look for a red box, okay? And they're going to be lower scores. So lower scores in a red box means downward strength. Blue scores with a higher number is going to indicate upward strength. And I'll give you those specific measures so you can gauge that. So once we have established that we're looking for buys, we're in a blue phase, primary trend line is blue, we've got some nice up arrows on each of the time frames for the given trend of that time frame and a high score, that means we can look for buys. But how do you know when to enter, what to look for? So we've actually built into the quantum scanner 3 separate and very powerful trade entry tools. Now, they're each used slightly different, but they include the microwave dots. Okay, so you're going to see either a little blue dot in an uptrend or a red dot in a downtrend, a micro pullback, blue triangle, or the micro arrows, which will show up on each respective candlestick, either in the upward or downward direction. Okay, and we'll talk about the other trend lines in a sec, but I want to focus in on these trade entry tools. Again, the microwave dots, we call it the microwave because it's showing small little waves in the marketplace. The micro pullback identifies pullbacks in the market. So if you've ever heard of a retracement or a pullback in the market, this actually automatically helps to identify when those occur. And we've got some ways to refine it, et cetera, but this will automatically help to identify that. Now, one final tool to just point out that's built into this is the quantum oscillator. So down here at the base of the screen, notice how we have this red zone and then a blue zone, and then this white oscillating line that goes up and down. That's called the plot line. So when the plot line is in the blue zone, that means we're close to an opportunity for a buy. Okay, so when the oscillator's in the blue zone, we're thinking, okay, maybe I can look for a buy. Next, we just simply look for either a micro pullback blue triangle or a blue microwave dot to form after it's gone into the oscillator blue zone, and we've got ourselves a trade. And you can look for short-term scalping opportunities with this. You can use this for fixed risk to reward ratio. So if you're looking for a 1-to-1, 1-to-2, anything up to a 1-to-5, there are ways to integrate these into a formulaic like strategy to make sure you can capitalize on that respective risk to reward ratio that you prefer. Okay, so but ultimately, in summary, for an uptrend, we're looking for the blue indications. Now, for a downtrend, it's the same, but just the opposite color. Now we're looking for the red indications. And so we're first looking at a downward macro phase arrow. So that big red triangle indicates that price is primarily moving in the downward direction. So at that moment, we're not even thinking buys. We're ruling that out of our minds. We're thinking, I'm focused in the downward direction. So again, it takes all the guesswork out of it. And type simple in the chat if you think, boy, with a macro phase arrow pointing either in the up or downward direction, that direction is going to be simplified. You don't have to guess. You can say, I've got a red macro phase arrow. I'm looking for sales. Blue macro phase arrow, I'm looking for buys. So type simple in the chat if that sounds simple to you. Next is the red primary trend line. So now if that big trend line or the primary trend line is red, that means the price is moving below its average, and then it's generally moving in the downward direction. So we'd be looking for sells. And then finally, for our trend strength, we can look at the master strength panel. And you can see in this example, notice how the last one in the blue zone was a score of 61. This is a score of 36 in this particular screenshot. That just simply means that the strength is actually in the downward direction. The box is red around the score number. Notice how we've got a lot of downtrend arrows across the time frame. So we've got good alignment suggesting that price is going to head in the downward direction. Looking down at our quantum oscillator, we're in the sell zone. So now, whenever that plot line moves into the red zone, that means we can now look for sells. So to get a confirmation to say, when do I actually press the button? Once that plot line is in the red zone, we simply look for either a red triangle, which is the micro pullback tool, or a microwave dot, which indicates a small pivot point and a shift of direction in the downward direction. Okay, now the micro arrows, you can also use these as well in a number of different ways. And we focus more on that teaching within our actual GFU Live sessions. But for simplicity's sake, just know that they help to indicate the overall short-term direction of price on the trend. All right, so let's talk about the Master Strength panel for just a moment. So there are three basic conditions that the Master Strength panel helps to identify. Price on any given asset on any given time frame is not always in strong trending conditions. And if you've traded before, or if you've traded even a little bit, you quickly realize that sometimes price feels like it's going flat. Other times it seems like it's in a great uptrend. Other times it's in a really strong downtrend. But how do you know? From second to second, minute to minute in the day, how do you really know? And so we developed this Master Strength panel to help you to actually get a real-time measure on any asset, any time frame of what's going on. So this includes trend arrows for each respective time frame to give you an overall picture of what's going on with that given asset. Are most of the time frames in the same direction, like an upward direction? If they are, that's a good thing. They don't all have to be in the same direction, but you typically want at least 3 or more in a similar time frame that you're trading based upon to be in that same direction. So if you're looking for buys, you want to see some upward trend arrows. If you're looking for sales, you want to see more downward trending arrows across those time frames. That alignment helps to support the trend. Next is the actual score. So the way the scoring system works is it's on a 0 to 100 point system, to where 0 would be, very, very the strongest of sell type conditions possible. And truthfully, you'll never see that, okay? But it is on a 0 to 100% scale. Lower scores, less than 40, indicate strong downward strength. Scores greater than 60 indicate strong upward strength. Everything in between, so kind of 45 to 50 range, is more of neutral ground. And so to help to confirm this so you don't have to remember all the exact numbers, is we've also color-coded this box to where if it's gray, just know that the relative strength is neutral. That means you're more likely to see either consolidation or some kind of retracement in the trend. If you have that box that's blue, that means, hey, there's a greater strength in the upward direction. And that may happen even when you're in a downtrend at times. If you've got a strong pullback in the upward direction, this may tell you, hey, the current strength is biased in that upward direction. And that can indicate that now's not a good time to sell because we've got an upward strength. Similarly, in a downward direction, if that box is red, that indicates strong downward strength, and the price is likely going to head in that downward direction. So aligning the strength with the trend arrows, it's not that you need a huge list of confirmations, but these help to visually give you a relative you could say, a conditions analysis. It's kind of like looking out your window and saying, is it sunshiny today? Is it going to rain today? It's designed to give you an overall perspective for the conditions of the market and without overcomplicating the actual decision of whether to carry out an umbrella or put on a jacket or something like that. With the market, you need to know, okay, generally price is going up, generally price is going down, or it looks like we might be in consolidation. That can give you a basic assessment for the overall conditions of the market at that given time. And I'll show you some examples here in just a moment. So when it comes down to looking for buys, we want to look again for specific conditions, which include the blue macrophase arrow, blue candlesticks, which will follow that macrophase arrow, the blue primary trend line, and then ideally scores above 60. Okay, so if we've got scores above 60 and those other two indications, we know conditions are primed to look for buys. Breakouts can be identified using structural lines, but for a lot of people, they can see a trend line, whether it's a downward sloping or an upward sloping trend line, but they don't really know how to identify these themselves. And so we've built this into the quantum scanner so that it automatically identifies both the macro and the micro trend lines on the chart. And these will show up as a red and blue line for your macro trend lines, or as two dashed lines for your micro trend lines. Now, what's the difference? In the market, everything's in a scale. There's kind of small and there's large. So there's large scale waves, there's small scale waves. So the micro trend lines show you the small little structures. The macro trend lines show you the larger structures. So if you're looking for bigger moves, you want to use tools like the macro trend line to watch for breakouts, because that can lead to much longer moves on those trades, thus resulting in better risk to reward ratios and things of that nature. For short-term scalping or just for the refinement of your entries, you can use the micro trend lines to help refine those little entries for small little breakouts that can really help to enhance the overall, you could say, specificity of your entries on your trades. Okay. And again, for specific entry opportunities, the microwave dots, the micro pullback blue triangles, or the quantum oscillator blue zone helps to identify when price is actually in an area where you might want to consider a buy. Now, there can be at times transition phases. And this occurs when you see in an uptrend, you might see red candles indicating that you're in a red phase, but the little micro arrows on each candlestick are blue. So if you've got up arrows in a red phase, that's kind of, think of that as a transition zone or almost like a no trade zone where you don't really want to be placing sales, because normally in a red phase, we'd be looking for sells, blue phase, we're looking for buys. So if we see a red phase, but with blue candlesticks or blue triangles, we're not looking for sells, because there's dual information. In other words, when that information is indicating potential in both directions, that says, hey, things are in transition. Now's not a good time to trade. So this helps to filter through those times so that in times of transition or consolidation, keeps you out of the market. All right, so let's look at a downtrending example. In this specific example, same kind of thing. The conditions, red macro phase triangle, indicating the beginning of a red phase. The red primary trend line indicating that price is below its average, and ideally strength scores that are less than 40, indicating strong downward strength. Now, it doesn't have to be below 40 at all times. You may see it oscillate from 35 to 41, and it kind of hovers from candlestick to candlestick, depending on how price is moving in between differing levels. But if you're seeing price that is consistently staying in the 40s or below, that's an indication of a strong downward trend. And similar to the macro trend and micro trend lines that we saw on the other chart, we can also look for those here on a downtrend. So for our sell macro trend line, we look for the red upward sloping trend line. And when price breaks down below that, that can indicate opportunities for potential sells. The micro trend line is just the same way. We look for an upward sloping dashed line. If price breaks down below that, it indicates the price could go down as well. And then again, to help you, to point you in the right direction in terms of trade entry timing, the quantum oscillator sell zone, that red zone, can help to indicate when price is in an area where it's likely to turn around and go in the direction of the downtrend. And similar to what we talked about with transition zones, if you see a blue phase, like we see here on the left side of our chart, notice how there's blue phase arrows, or excuse me, candlesticks, but our primary trend line is red. We're seeing red arrows on the candlestick. So what does that mean? That means it's in transition. The price has kind of got dual reasons why it could go up or down. And that's just a good time to stay out of the market. Okay, that's just as a general rule. And so it's good to understand that so that you don't enter preemptively, maybe when you think price is going to go up, but it's really telling you there's actually reasons why price could go up or down under those circumstances. Now, just as a quick plug, we do teach on a daily basis, Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you're welcome to tune into any of our sessions. We also have sessions that are going to be taught by other educators in other languages as well, and that will support many people from around the world. And we look forward to that as well. But let's go on to the live chart here and show you some actual examples of how this works. So here we've got the quantum scanner. Now I've got this built into my own personal TradingView account. You can also access this through gfulive.com/scanner, and you can see the quantum scanner here. For the sake of simplicity and for teaching, I'm going to use my TradingView just because I've got access to all my drawing tools and everything, and it'll just make it a little bit easier for the sake of discussion. So on this particular chart, this is the euro to US dollar. Now, I never cherry pick options. We trade the euro USD a lot for Brandon and I, and we've got many other assets, and we'll show you a few here. But let's talk about, again, how do you look for a trade opportunity? So the Asian session just began, and this is noted by some what we call the master session lines that is built into the quantum scanner. And you can see that also here with these horizontal lines. So this line right here. Okay, this one, and this one. So what are these horizontal lines on the chart? These are your session open range lines. So what this marks out is your first 5 minutes, the first 15-minute high and low, and then the 30-minute high and low. Some of them may overlap depending on if the high and low is at the same location, but ultimately that can help to give you an opening range. Now, why is that important? When you trade actually matters. When there's volume in the marketplace, that helps price to actually go somewhere. So pre-market hours, price tends to be just a little bit flat. So when the market opens, that tends to be when new volume comes in and price actually goes somewhere. And so that's a good thing. And so we've chose to add open range lines onto the beginning of each session. So the Asian session, London, and the New York, in order to identify when the beginning of the range starts. From there, we just simply look for a breakout of that opening range. So like in this example here, we have a blue macro phase arrow, which suggests what? That we're looking for buys, blue for buys. So at this point, moving forward, we can look for times where the oscillator's in the blue zone. We can also look for opportunities where we get either a blue dot or a blue triangle from our macro wave tool, which is the dots, or our micro pullback tool, which is the blue triangles, like right here and right here. And literally on those candlesticks themselves, they can serve as trade entry reasons to indicate that price was likely going to go up. Okay. Now there's a lot of additional price action analysis that we could teach you, but for the sake of time, I want to keep this pretty simple and straightforward. But ultimately, here's essentially how this would look. Blue macro phase arrow, blue candlesticks. So there's our direction and our price phase. We can see higher scores. We've got a blue box here, got plenty of different time frames with upward trends and higher scores above 50 and 55, kind of in that range. That's looking really good. So once the oscillator goes down into the blue zone, we're then just simply looking for either a blue dot or a blue triangle for a potential trade opportunity. So right here, we get a blue dot and a blue triangle. They don't have to occur on the same location, but they sometimes will. And so that could literally act as a potential trade entry reason. Here's another blue dot indicating a potential buy. Here's another blue dot indicating potential buy and a blue triangle. And as you can see, price has gone up ever since. And so that's the euro to US dollar. Let's look at a few more examples. Again, this is the opening of the Asian session, so we're starting to see a little bit of movement here. And once it hits about 15 minutes from now, we might see another increase in volatility, usually around that time, which is 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We see another influx of volume. We might see a trend shift. But here on the Aussie dollar to US dollar, we also have a new blue phase. So what are we looking for? We're looking for buys. We're in a blue phase. And from that point moving forward, again, take a look at your oscillator. When that's down in the blue zone, look for a blue dot. We've got a couple of blue dots there, a blue dot and a blue triangle, another blue triangle. Here's several more blue triangles. Here's 4 more blue triangles. So different times when you've got these pullbacks against the market before price continues in the direction of the trend. So this is great for short-term scalping, fixed risk to reward ratio trades, etc. It's going to give you many, many opportunities, but it's going to filter this by price phase. So where there's no confusion If you're in a blue phase, we're looking for buys. If you're in a red phase, we're looking for sells. So let's see if we can see an opposite direction. Here's the US dollar to Japanese yen. We recently just entered into a new red phase. So we see our macro phase red arrow or triangle there. And then the oscillator goes into the red zone. We get a red dot now. We've got a red triangle there. Another example right there. Here's a couple of more red dots on those as well. So all of those could serve as potential sell-based trade entry reasons. Our primary trend line is red. We've got a red box, a score of 40 at the given moment right now. So this gives us plenty of opportunities, especially on the earlier part of the Asian session here, indicating that price is going to head in the downward direction. So again, on a daily basis, when we teach about the quantum scanner, we go into many examples, many different assets. You could look, for example, I'll just show you a quick one. Here's on gold, very quickly and easily, blue phase, right? Looking for price to head in the upward direction. What if you want to trade crypto? Many of you like to trade crypto. Let's see what Ethereum, or excuse me, Ripple is doing. Looks like we just entered into a red phase. A lot of people like to trade on the higher time frames. So we're currently in a red phase here, even on the 1 hour. You might want to trade cryptocurrencies on the daily. We're currently in a blue phase based upon the daily time frame chart with Ripple. Want to see what Bitcoin is doing? Here's Bitcoin. We recently just had a new blue phase on the daily time frame chart. If you wanted to scalp it on the 15-minute chart, let's see what it's doing there. We just entered into a new blue phase, so we'd be looking for buys. But what's going on right now? This is actually a transition phase. So we got little red micro arrows on all these candlesticks. So what does that mean? Transition zone, we're not looking for trade. So even though we're in a blue phase, we got a red primary trend line, red micro arrows. So it's basically like a no trade zone, at least based upon this 15-minute time frame chart. Okay, so again, it helps us to quickly and accurately be able to assess the overall conditions of the market to see what's likely going to go, and also check out what's happening. Right up here on our master strength panel, look at the score. It's gray, which indicates neutral or consolidation, and everything else is aligning perfectly with that same information. So again, quantum is designed to utilize artificial intelligence technology to simplify the analysis process so that it helps you to get the right information so that you can make educated and informed decisions. We absolutely love the quantum scanner. It's honestly made our lives really, really easy when it comes to trading. And so if you want to enhance your ability to trade as well, we highly encourage you to tap into the quantum scanner, learn it. We've got that PDF guide, 6 different languages thus far. We're going to be adding more, but we're very excited for it to come to the market and to ultimately just make your lives better. That's what this is all about. So never hesitate to let us know if you have any questions. Again, 5 days a week at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll be teaching sessions on this, giving live examples, etc. And so, in any case, thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it. Type in a 7 if you are excited about the quantum scanner. And with that, Brandon, I'll turn the time back over to you just for a moment. But thanks again, Nino, for having us on as well. We appreciate you. We're here to support you in anything that you need. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you for that, Dr. Lee. And guys, side messages I was getting plus a Zoom. People are excited about this. And the more that you understand how to actually use this, it'll get you more excited. Now, I will say this, just because you're confident, don't be bumping up your lot size. Some people get so confident that something's going to work that they will take too much risk. And one thing that Dr. Lee and I learned years ago is have good, proper risk management. It's all about protecting your account and then growing your account on a daily basis. A person actually sent me a text and said, "Are you actually using this with your own trades?" And, it is a funny question because a lot of people that teach in the market, they don't actually do what they teach. They don't actually do and use their tools. Dr. Lee and I use this tool on all of our trades. Now we know how to trade without the tool, but we realize that the tool, as Dr. Lee mentioned, makes our lives easier. It's not based upon emotion. It's based upon objective trade reasoning. We know that with the education that we have, coupled with this tool, that we can be successful. We know you can be successful. The Masters Club Flyers, over 50,000 flyers, is living proof that anybody, no matter what the background is, no matter what their skin color is, no matter what country they're from, no matter what formal education they have or no formal education, you can be successful. I didn't even go to college. All right. I barely knew how to do geometry, algebra, never even made it to calculus. If someone like myself can understand something like this, you guys can as well. We believe in you. We know that you can be successful, and you will see 3 months from today, 6 months from today, 12 months from today, you could say, I got on that webinar. I didn't want to. I got home from work or school. I was worn out. I got on that webinar. I committed to myself. I'm going to learn this skill. I want to learn I want to control my financial destiny. I'm sick and tired of putting my destiny in the hands of somebody else that can always take it away at any time. So we want to put the financial destiny into your hands, give you the education, the wisdom from experience, and the tool to help you be successful. So with that, we're going to turn it back over to you, Neno. Appreciate you for having us on here. We love you, love the team. We'll be on anytime, any subject, any topic that you need. Consider it done. We're here to serve. Appreciate you. Back to you, Neno.
Thank you so much, brother. Wow, what a phenomenal training. Josh Lee, Brandon Boyd. Guys, can we type a thank you in the chat for them? Like I said, they took the time out of their days to, come in here and give us a very exclusive training. And now, as you guys know, we're equipped. That's the most beautiful thing that they just did. They just equipped us. They gave us a beautiful recording that now we can use to help educate our people when they come in, and you can continue to watch it over and over and over again. And I'm just excited. I'm just excited, and I'm blessed that we have leaders and educators like Josh Lee and Brandon Boyd to come on here and teach us. So next time they hop on these calls, we're going to be masters of it. We're going to be, Masters Club members of Quantum, and I'm just super excited for it. So again, thank you guys so much for all the value that you guys provided here. We're so blessed. We're so grateful, guys. Make sure that you guys follow them on Instagram. Make sure that you guys also check in with them. Make sure that you're also on their sessions. They're live Monday through Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern time, guys. It's an amazing, amazing session.
And
And
Neno, it's actually Monday through Friday. We're actually on 5 times a week. Last week we couldn't get on Friday, but every week, 5 days a week,
oh,
1
Friday
p.m.
now.
Eastern. And guys, any question that you send through our chat on the sessions or on Instagram, if you send me a message, every single question that you have in regards to trading will be answered. All
Sheesh.
of them. The chat, the Instagrams. You typically don't get that service. You usually if you reach out to a leader and educator, they don't even respond. All right. So if you reach out, you will get the answers. And we're on Monday through Friday.
Thank you so much. Yeah, because I had saw it was Monday through Thursday, but now, as I known,
Yeah.
should have
If
known
there's
better.
ever a day that we can't be on, like such as there was a surgery going on stuff, they take it off there just so that people don't show up.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Well, guys, Monday through Friday, follow Brandon Boyd. Make sure you guys get plugged in with him, and we have the best access to the best information ever, guys. So excited, Brandon, Josh Lee. Again, thank you guys so much, and I pray that God continues to bless you and your families all of 2025 and more to go. All right, guys. God
See
bless,
you
and let's
guys.
have a great night, guys. Thank you guys so much.